Hello, guys. Was that a flawless intro, Ryan? Hey there. Welcome to SJU, or is this like an SJU special edition because we're not going live? Got Bailey. We got Danielle. We're going to talk Miss Marvel. We talked, guys, earlier on the Obi-Wan video about how Disney Plus is like, why do they got to do this to us? Why the Star Wars and the Marvel on the same day?
I really liked when they were doing the alternate shows where it'd be like, okay, now this is going to be the show for the next month and a half.
Right.
And then take a break, and then this is going to be the show. And it's like...
It certainly felt more considerate to my schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I figured inevitably they're making too many that we'd have to get them airing at the same time. But there's other days in the week, guys. That's all I'm saying.
And look, hey, none of us should be on the Bird website. It's bad for all of us.
Sure.
Read a book. Books are great. It's like being on Twitter, but less aggravating. But you can't get on the Bird now if you have not seen the show, if you don't want to get spoiled. And because I do this for a living, I am going to get spoiled no matter what. So now I'm up until like 2 a.m, like a young...
Right?
Like a young person.
Like a youth. It's so funny to me that it's like,
how dare.
There can't be bigger IP, right, than Marvel and Star Wars, but it's like Tuesday night, gather the family together to watch until 2 a.m.
Whichever companies do these shows should get together and really coordinate a little bit better, I think.
It'd be nice. Think about us. Think about the people on YouTube. You know, we're the real ones suffering here. But we're going to talk Miss Marvel. We're going to go into full spoilers. So if you have not seen the Miss Marvel pilot episode, we're going to ruin it for you. So either go watch it Disney Plus and come back,
or go on Twitter.
Go on Twitter because it'll be trending and you'll learn things, or just listen to us because this is the way you want to get your information. And who could blame you?
Fifth hand.
Yes.
Yeah. Fifth hand.
So, Miss Marvel, Generation Y was the name of this pilot episode, written by Bisha K. Ali, who's the head writer. She wrote for Loki. This episode was directed by Adil and Bilal, who directed Bad Boys for Life. They have the Batgirl movie coming up that they directed. Guys, what did you think of the first episode of Miss Marvel?
I was so incredibly charmed by this show. I think we talk a lot, not so much with the shows, but a lot of the time about like the Marvel style and how things tend to be shot kind of all the same, and we get really excited when something looks different. On Twitter, where I did not spoil it, but I did mention this, it very much reminded me a lot of like the art direction and the styling of Mitchell's versus the Machines. In terms of, especially, I am always interested in, once television and movies started acknowledging that texting was a thing, the different ways that they would show texting and text exchanges. And I think that this is one of the cutest and most clever ways I've seen that done, in the way where, you know, you're seeing their responses and everything around them, like in the actual, you know, like in the design, and you know, you'll look up at a neon light and then suddenly, you know, it's saying the response to a text, or you look down at a crosswalk and it's the response to a text. It's a very clever way to make it both where you can see what it is that they're saying, but also make it feel like it's part of this world.
Yeah.
I really, visually, it is really one of the more interesting Marvel things in terms of like, I mean, look, there's going to be goo flying. We'll see goo. Eventually it'll just be like,
sky
pew,
beam?
pew, pew,
Maybe a
just
sky beam?
Sky beams, goo beams all over the place. But like, this is actually doing something that is interesting and different. And I am always like, bravo, kudos, because it is gorgeous.
Yep. Bailey, your thoughts?
I saw your tweet about the Mitchells versus the Machines, and I was like, I felt so vindicated, because when I was watching, I was like, this reminds me of that cute movie I saw. What was the name of it? And then you tweeted that. I was like, that movie. It was so cute. And I think they really captured the energy of just sort of like a dorky, artistic teen girl so well. And the actress whose name I wrote down,
Iman Vellani.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Iman Vellani did such a good job capturing that energy. She's so charming and likable, but also like she does a really good job seeming so like unsure of herself in a very believable way that I'm sure she will grow out of as the show progresses. She becomes more confident, blah, blah, blah. But this first stage in her like evolutionary process felt, I think, very familiar to me and anyone else who's been just a super dorky teen ever.
It's something that we've talked about before on the shows here, if an SJU is a thing that you like, where I was that kid growing up, like tracing Marvel comics into my composition notebook and making and I know we hate this term, but in my case it applies, the Mary Sue character that there could ever possibly be. It was me as a mutant with eyes that were pink diamonds, and my mutant power was the power to have every mutant power. Like there is no Mary or Sue than the Sue that I married.
Did the pink diamonds have anything to do with the powers, or were they just like stylistic?
Just an additional.
Just cosmetic.
Great.
Yeah. Just whatever the opposite of a Morlock is. So, but so I was that teen girl, and so getting to watch a version of myself on screen, like in that, like awkward, cute, teen, nerdy, up in the clouds, two in her head thing. Like this really is the story of a fangirl ascended, and it really, I look, forever and ever, we've always gotten like these different versions of these coming of age stories, but I feel like this is one of those ones where I was like, oh, that's me. Like that feels like me. Like that is very specifically like who I am and like what, like what I went through like in my things. And obviously it's not like a one-to-one comparison, but in terms of being that like awkward, shy girl obsessed with superheroes, I mean, that's, hey, look, you can either actually become a superhero or you can sit behind a desk when you talk about other people's work. There's a career for you.
Yeah. I'm gonna just agree with you guys. I freaking love this show. Yeah, it's so charming. Iman Vellani is like such a find. She just has that it thing. You just see her and you love her. And the visual style is great. I'm so glad you mentioned Mitchell's vs. the Machines, because it's like Scott Pilgrim-y, Spider-Verse a little bit. Yeah. Mitchell's really also evokes and that idea of like someone, a very, very creative person, and you're seeing her mind's eye projected. I love when she's going through like the different ways that she could possibly change up her Captain Marvel variants, if you will. And they're all appearing behind her, like a Doctor Strange one, an Asgardian Captain Marvel. And then the texting thing, when I talked to actually the producers, I remember they mentioned it's like, it's a tricky thing, right? Because everyone texts, especially high school kids, but they're like, it's the most boring thing to put on screen is like close up of the phone. And I love that scene where she and Bruno are texting. And yeah, it's like on the street, the things appearing, the signs, the stars behind her in her bedroom.
Oh my God, that was so beautiful.
So good. Yeah. And then also just the energy of it, that I think that there's such a reason that like a high school kid becomes a superhero is an appealing thing. And honestly, Homecoming, which I love, is the only one that really did that, because even the Homecoming sequels, one was like a class trip and the other was multiverse. Right. So we only got Homecoming to give us that energy, and it's not practical to get Tom Holland in a Disney Plus series. So I'm loving that this show exists to give that energy, to be like, hey, there's a reason that we like seeing a high school kid have to traverse high school life and superhero life,
Yes.
It's almost like it's a really good metaphor
yes.
for coming of age. So putting it in a coming of age story feels like a really natural fit.
Perhaps.
I wish I had come of age like that, but my family didn't have an attic, and you're not going to find a magical bracelet in the linen closet.
It's very true.
True story.
Yeah, here in LA, we didn't have basements either, so there just were not options for
earthquake risk.
Cool trunks filled with
mystical items.
Yes,
no,
filled with mystical items. Also, yeah, I appreciated that. We are 14 years deep into the MCU, and this gets to be fairly meta with the like. Yeah, she is an MCU fangirl. And it's like Kate Bishop was a little different because Kate Bishop had a specific personal reason to love Hawkeye.
Yes, right.
But this is just a girl who just grew up being like, wow, they're superheroes. They're really cool. And she is us and we are her.
A mod on the Avengers fandom wiki.
Yes.
Making all the corrections from memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am very much excited. There's a lot of her actualing people in this, which is so cute.
Yeah.
So incredibly cute. Her relationship with her parents is so relatable, but also just like her dad is such a sweet little tryhard.
Yeah.
And when he cried, I cried.
I loved his whole costume. I thought the whole costume was good.
It was a cute costume.
It was so cute.
Yeah.
And he was
abs.
and he was trying so hard to like relate, and then her having that moment of like, oh wait, yeah, right, parents are people, and like I think I broke my dad's heart, and ooh, that's bad. as an old now, not an old with a child, but as an old, I definitely had that moment of like, oh, he's like trying to connect the best way that he knows how and like make everyone happy, like make his wife happy, make his daughter happy, and oh, I love him. I love him. I know. Well, this is why you just don't wear them when you talk about them.
I should have known better.
I definitely do not, believe in the like, you have to get a real fan to play these roles or to make this stuff because great people come from anywhere. But it is an extra icing on the cake that Iman Vellani is that girl. And if you've seen the interviews, and did you see that whole it's not 616 thing on the red carpet?
No.
Where she was like calling out Kevin Feige and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness for saying that it's the 616 is the name.
It's not.
And she's like, it's 19999.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was such an amazing moment of her being like Kamala Khan.
Yes.
That
drove me nuts too. But it was one of those things. It was like, I get it. Maybe in this universe they think that they're 616, but we know 616 is only in the books. Pick up a book. The MCU is nope. Don't do that.
So the lesson of this SJU episode is people should read more. Danielle,
read a book. Just a book.
Some of them are comic books, but some of them are...
look, pictures are great. Just a book.
I love an illustration. It really helps me connect with the words.
Thank you.
And you should mention, look, none of us are Pakistani Muslim, but I can just say, watching it from my perspective, I loved like immersing ourselves in the world and like her family, which is great. Her relationship with her brother. And then, when she goes to the marketplace, when that woman is very judgmental about the girl who ran off gallivanting around, it just like, it all felt great. And I will say again, this is my secondhand experience, but they did a screening of the first 2 episodes at the El Capitan Theater here last week. And there were like so many people coming out who were just like super overjoyed. They're like, oh my God, like literally saying out loud, like, I had not seen representation like that. And it was really cool. Like, it just like felt so like, just putting us into this character's shoes and her life.
Right. And it's, I'm sure you all know this by now, but other people exist.
What?
I know.
Danielle, what?
I know. It's wild.
As long as I'm most important.
You are still the most
okay,
important.
Cool.
You are the 616 of your one.
Okay.
That's how you sit in the
okay. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Kevin, tell me it's okay.
It's gonna be okay. But yeah. So I love that it is this like great view into this character and her life, and obviously like no one's here to like be the end all be all of it's no one's job and no one show's job to represent every single aspect of a culture. Like that's just not possible.
No.
But I love how deep the world, like this feels like a lived in world. This doesn't feel like one of those things, because oftentimes with a lot of these, and again, this is one of those things that people do criticize when they talk about Marvel, is that sometimes it feels like you could just swap one thing, and it doesn't feel like it would make a difference. Like, no, this is a very specific young girl's life. Like you wouldn't be able to just like pluck, like throw Peter Parker in there and it just be like the same story. Like it wouldn't. And those are the details that make you really fall in love with a character, is being able to see like, it's, they say that the more specific that you get when you're writing something, the more general it winds up being somehow. And this is so specific that this feels like, oh, like I know this girl, like I know this family, like I understand where she's coming from. And even if you are not, because again, I'm not Pakistani Muslim, but even if you are not, it's still like, oh, I recognize those things in my family.
Yeah.
I recognize this stuff from like my culture, my heritage. Like it's not like a one-on-one, but it's like, oh, like this is like with us. This is like, you know what I mean? Because we all are products of whatever culture it is that we come from. And so to be able to see something like that on the TV, I don't know, it just hella relatable for me.
It's so great. I love when she's telling Bruno her like everything's gonna go perfectly version of how they're gonna sneak out, and like her family like celebrating her and like they're all like talking about how great she is and like there is not one single moment in this where you're just like not either falling in love or going into a pout with how gorgeous the story is. Was there not either a mandate or a bet at Disney about making they're going to get a lot of kids born in this year and the next are going to be named Bruno, because Luca and Encanto and this show, lovable guys named Bruno.
Did they all date a dude named Bruno? Like, I'm trying to figure.
They have
in
really good memories about him. They like him a lot.
Well,
it was a friendly end of the
Star Wars needs a
relationship.
Bruno, is what I'm saying, because they got a Pixar, a Marvel, and a Walt Disney Animation.
Because now we've got the cute hunky one, and then we had the one we didn't talk about, and then we had the one that we didn't allow to talk, and then just the evolution of Brunos. It's going backwards. Darth Bruno, yeah.
Bruno Disney Plus multiverse series.
Oh, you watch it.
This is how they cross universes in a bigger way.
Say that out loud. You have to charge Kevin for these ideas.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I didn't say. We were also joking right before we started about how it's just a funny line anyway, but also a funny line we wouldn't expect in this show, which is when she says it's not like I'm asking to go do a party and do cocaine. Made me laugh.
They mentioned la cocaína.
I said this before. Yeah, I think that is the first time they've ever mentioned cocaine on a Disney Plus show, and I was just like, and in this show? All right.
Yeah.
In this economy?
Okay. In this universe, that's a drug they have. And you know what? More power to them.
Whoa, yayo? Because normally it's always like, in these ones, it's always like, oh, man, they'll pick like some stupid word that you would hear in like an extreme skateboarding 90s thing. Yeah. Oh, all the kids are doing the buzz. And that's what they're like, no, it's cocaine.
It's an actual drug that really exists. This is our universe with our bad drugs.
Yeah.
That's our next Easter egg video.
Ooh.
Yes, that's our next Easter egg.
It's cocaine.
Exciting. Does that have a page on the MCU wiki?
It explains a lot of Iron Man.
Yes. Let's talk about Avengers Con, which was obviously sort of a physical manifestation of like our world. There's not a literal Avengers Con, of course. Kevin Feige's like there could be, but there are many conventions where people dress up like Marvel characters. What would you think of the depiction of Avengers Con? And that's obviously where she gets her first big hero moment.
I've never been to an evening con before.
That was my nit to pick. Was she had to go out at night, and having just done Star Wars Celebration and Wonder God, I'm like, is it only at night?
I was like, that's when the parties are. The con's during the day.
I felt like if they'd somehow explained, they could have gotten away with saying the costume contest is night, because like the masquerade at Comic-Con.
Sure.
But it felt like the whole convention was at night.
Yeah,
and
there
that was
actually a convention. But other than that, it felt very true to like conventions I've been inside with my human body for all of 10 minutes before feeling claustrophobic and leaving.
I could smell it.
Oh yeah. Not a shower to be had.
No. Bring wet wipes, y'all. Bring wet wipes. You think we can't smell you? We can smell you.
We can always smell.
I was actually going through and I was doing the dorky like let's look for Easter eggs freeze frame. And I did like there was a lot of fun touches, I thought, because look, first of all, we didn't even mention at the top of this that the fact that Ant-Man is the source because this came up, I think even in WandaVision when they were talking about the battle with Thanos, like other characters like Darcy, and we're like, how would they know any of this? Right. And how would she know what Captain Marvel did with Thanos? And then it turns out that Scott Lang is going on a podcast talking about it. I love that.
That tracks.
It's
just a big blabbermouth.
Yes.
That is such a Scott Lang
thing
to do. It was either going to be him or it was going to be Luis.
Like, If they had to throw someone under the bus, Scott's your boy for that. I like some little details I was looking at, because even though you still wonder how did some stuff leak out, like there was a T-shirt that was like an America's Ass T-shirt, and I'm like, Steve was only there with himself, so I don't know how that would get out then. He doesn't seem like the blabbermouth.
Well, maybe on comms.
Yeah, maybe someone overheard,
I mean, surely there were paparazzi photos taken, and people are like, well, that's America's ass right there. It just developed organically in its own way, sort of like when Friends with Benefits and No Strings Attached came out the same year.
Like when there's competing volcano movies.
Exactly.
It just
or
happens.
like competing
Asteroids.
multiverse movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Just something in the cosmos. I like that there seems to be an implicit agreement that they decided that no one knows a lot about the Guardians of the Galaxy, because I noticed that someone was selling a book called The Peter Quill Starboy Story, and that there was a T-shirt that said Mr. Tree with Groot on it.
There was one girl wearing a Gamora cosplay that was like all green. But like that feels realistic to me. You see a person who's full green, and she's like, "I can do that with makeup," because you can do that with makeup. Actually, that's how they do that.
Yes. I first of all, also a shout out to Ryan Panagos, my old Marvel coworker, who got to play the announcer at the costume competition. So now he gets like he'll probably get a page on the MCU wiki. So go Ryan.
Maybe a SAG card.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was Easter eggy, like Zoe's costume was the 1970s way too skimpy Miss Marvel costume.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fun. And then what did you think of her big, like she gets her big moment there. Like obviously we get a little glimpse of her powers, semi-controversial because they're changed from the comic book a bit.
Not so much in beginning, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to let it ride and see what happens. I like it all so far.
She does the big hand.
Yeah.
Just a different way.
As long as I
Just
still get it in
stretching.
biggin.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah. Hopefully at some point she got to yell that, right?
I mean,
I feel like that hammer would have killed Zoe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That hit her hard.
That hit her so hard.
Even like she's dead already before the
She
fall.
didn't have armor on. She was just a small teen girl getting walloped by gravity.
She's like, they get her home and it's like her internal injuries are really bad.
I recognize her from my high school.
Right. Get me to the ER.
Yeah,
This
but
girl caught me, but
I did like the immediate instinct where like she doesn't even like Captain Marvel, but it's like she's wearing a like deep cut Captain Marvel costume, and the only thing is it's just she's not of the same like social standing as our dear girl Kamala. So
I actually will say I do like that they didn't do that. She's not like a bullied. She's just kind of like the invisible girl, like the girls that are standing at her locker and stuff. It's just kind of like that non-entity. You know?
Zoe was nice to her in that conversation where she was like, "I like your jacket," and she was like, "I like your necklace," and then Kamala was incapable of reading that the conversation was over at that point.
Right.
You know, normal stuff. But like, she's not bullied. People are perfectly nice to her. She's just weird.
Yes.
So you mean that sometimes there's a point in which you're supposed to stop talking to people instead of just continuing to be awkward if they're at a party?
We just keep it going. And then let's talk mid-credit scene. They threw us for a loop. I like that we're like, oh, they never do a mid-credit scene on the MCU shows till the finale or maybe one or two before. I had a friend who turned it off because he's like, there's never one in the first episode.
You gotta scroll through, my dude.
You gotta.
At least like, do a little finger scrolls.
Right.
So, let's pretend that someone watching
Oh, my love. My
That's
one
two
and only.
people I know.
My love.
There's two people I know well.
I was so tired. It was 1 a.m.
You have to scroll through until you see if
Bailey.
I thought maybe there was, but I tried to start it and it started the episode
They
from
show
the beginning.
two government agent types, one of whom we've seen before because he questioned Peter Parker in Spider-Man No Way Home. He works for the Department of Damage Control.
And he's in Succession.
And he is looking, and they're looking at the footage of what happened at the Avengers Con and saying we need to bring this girl in. I just shout out to that actor whose name I'm forgetting who plays Agent Cleary from Spider-Man No Way Home, because that's the genius of this, right? Like I'm sure he was so psyched to be in a Spider-Man movie, even in just one or two scenes, but they're big scenes. He's in the trailer questioning him, and they're like, "Oh, also you're a regular on a TV show." Because you know you got to do that one part.
That's the great thing.
Jurisdiction, though. Peter Parker lives in New York, and Kamala lives in New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, it's also here's getting comic geeky on you. It's like Damage Control in the comics was just like a funny book about people who came to clean up the aftermath.
Yes. I like that.
Like it's like, oh, who cleans up the mess? But now they're like nefarious and like
now it's like a different kind of controlling damage where it was very literal before. It was like, no, like someone's got to clean up. Like the Hulk threw a guy through a building.
Right.
Someone's got to
now. It's
clean
like
up
insurance.
Because people have to like go back to work, so we got to like make sure that building is still a building. And now it's like, no, like we're controlling the damaging things. And it's
I would assume that this has to do with shifting external views on governmental authority, etc. I feel like that probably has something to do with it.
I will say this, sneak peek for a video that's going up in a day or two, but when I talked to them about, talked to the creators of the show, and I mentioned Damage Control, they were very like, we can't say anything, even though they're in more, that's not a secret, but what their role is, what's happening, and I think you might be onto something about, current events and how we place all this. So,
Interesting.
So guys, that's our thoughts on the first Miss Marvel. We're all pretty psyched on it.
Yeah.
I'm super
Loved
into
it.
it. Again, it's really and these, you know, Give me a good 6 to 8 episodes. I'm okay with it. I'm happy we're on the British model now, because now it's just like watching really good quality things. And look, I will watch a 24, 28 season of Buffy all the live long day, but being able to like have like these really condensed good things.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you like Buffy, what are you doing? Watch the show right now. Go do the thing.
But I mean, honestly, you could say about Buffy, it overstayed its welcome.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
these miniseries don't do that. They don't have that chance.
Nope, they do not have the opportunity.
Buffy should have ended at the end of season 3.
Oh, see, I go for 5.
Excuse me.
Sorry, no,
I go through
it's
5.
the perfect end. High school
I
shows
understand
never
the high
do well
school
in
era.
college.
Someone grab Roxy. We're gonna
Yeah.
TV fight this.
With Miss Marvel stuff, and I'll say I've seen the second episode, guys. I really like it even more than the first.
Ooh,
But it's like I do think they're threading a nice needle here, because Moon Knight was like to a almost strange aspect of Moon Knight was like, it's like we're not going to mention anything overt about the MCU. Then there's other shows where it probably leans a little too heavily. This is kind of like a fun middle ground, because she is immersed in it. She's a fan of it, but we're getting to know her and her family. We know she's going to be in the Marvels next year, teaming up with Brie Larson. But for now, we just get to know her story.
It's fun. It feels very grounded in reality, because, like, for the bulk of it, it really feels like the world's association with the Avengers is our association with the Avengers.
Yes.
Where it's just like a cool thing you get to be a fan of, or maybe a dorky thing you get to be a fan of, depending on how you do it. But either way, it's just sort of a cool thing that exists and doesn't affect you.
Also, Eric, you might know more than me, but the rumor is that after having seen how good this show is, we're going to be getting more Kamala than we thought we might in the Marvel.
I only know the same rumors as you, but you just going by context clues of like the reviews of this, the reaction when I saw a screening, like I think they know they kind of have gold here, that it's like, oh wow, like just people like her so much. I would not be shocked if we hear, first of all, about a second season of this pretty soon. Like Loki's so far the only one that we're like, they're doing season 2. I think we're gonna get more of her. I think that they know.
Yeah, I think that they're again, the rumor is that they realized that they do have a pot of gold here.
Yeah.
And so they are increasing her presence in the Marvels movie.
Yeah. Oh, that wouldn't shock me either. Plus, you know, just on a
exciting.
business level, she's so young that right now she's not asking for $20 million. So.
Well, yeah.
But
Damn.
she'll get, and Amon, you deserve it.
You deserve it.
Get
Ask
that,
for more.
Work towards
Ask
that.
for
Work
more.
towards that Downey money. That's what I say, or at least
Get
the Tom
what
Holland.
you're
Get
worth.
Tom Holland money. Guys, thanks for joining us. We have a bunch of stuff going on, even on this channel today. We did an Obi-Wan review, and there's a Cram It for the Jurassic series, and there's a review of Jurassic World Dominion by yours truly. So there's a lot out there. Go watch all that, and then watch entertaining stuff, and come back and we'll talk about more. So thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for being here. Farewell.